Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 34 for December 27th, 2017. My name is Russell Frost, and look at, wait, down there we go, I have to be down here. Look at all the people I have here. Look at this. This is not your average Tesla Life show. No, apparently when everyone's on vacation, they come on the show, which I love. So I'm excited because we have a great panel tonight, and I think we're going to have a great show. Let me introduce everyone, and we will get rolling. The man, my wingman on this show, he is our man in Canada, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
One word for everybody. Man, it's cold. And the weather says it's going to get nothing but more cold. So if I'm moving, I'm just trying to keep warm. That's if you see that.
Trying to keep warm.
But welcome to the show, everybody. We got a ton of news.
We have a ton of news. We have a ton of people. It's that in between. It's post Boxing Day. Is there a post Boxing Day?
Sure.
Like double Boxing Day or
Frost Day. It's called Frost Day.
Frost Day. Thank you. Down with that. Let's see. The man. Our man in Portland, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello from rainy Oregon, as Paul can now attest.
Well, we'll get to that story, I'm sure, at some point. The man next to him, where it's probably not raining, it's probably just beautiful, Christmassy, a light covering of snow. Our man in Missouri, Dr. Evan Fusco.
Yeah, the snow kind of melted. It's cold as crap, but it was a nice. We had technically a white Christmas with a dusting of snow on the ground, so that was nice. So.
There we go. And we should point out the beautiful open airy studio that Evan is in now that he was previously in, but it's just been rearranged. So thank you for that. Yeah. And finally, yes, he doesn't like the Portland rain, but he does like his brand new VW Vanagon. He is the founder of Boulder Hybrids, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, from Boulder, Colorado, where yesterday was 12 degrees and snowing, and today it was 60 degrees and all the snow disappeared. So no complaints.
Today? Wow. You said it's 60 degrees there?
So 60 today, 12 yesterday. Go figure.
Wow.
That's Colorado.
I think it's warmer there than it is here. I'm in San Diego, for God's sakes. It's winter, so we get used to it. Well, as we said, we have a ton of news this week. So let's jump right into it. Mark has the first story. Mark, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, as you've seen from the Twitter feed over this week, a lot of people that aren't employees have been getting notification that they can configure their car. Some of them have even picked it up during this week, and there's been a lot of banter on the internet about it. Because of real customers are now getting the cars outside of employees, Tesla has released the warranty information for the Model 3. So that was announced earlier in the week. Basically, you're looking at, for the battery pack, you're looking at 100,000 miles for the standard range battery version, or 8 years, and 120,000 miles for the long range battery version in 8 years. The degradation guarantee point is 70% retention of the battery over the warranty period. So at the end of that 8 year or mileage term, you need to have 70 or more in order to fall within the battery warranty. If it's under that, I guess it's a free battery for you. And similar to the Model S and Model X, the regular warranty for 4 years or 50,000 miles are standard, just like the S and the X. So the only real change was the mileage points on the standard and long range battery. As you know, with the S and the X, I believe those numbers were unlimited for miles, although the 8 years was still in play. So that's what was released, and that's what you can expect with your Model 3.
That is awesome. And it's such a huge milestone that non-employees are now getting their cars, and they did it in 2017. And I don't know how many employees had reserved cars. It's got to be around 2,000. So they've delivered those, and now they're going to non-employees.
Yeah,
That's an incredible achievement.
Non-employees in California, for the most part, though. That seems to be the trick, is having a California address. I know there's
Yes,
at least
it is. Yep.
one person who changed their address to someplace in California on their reservation, and they got bumped up.
No.
Yeah,
and
they had to pick it up in California.
That person picked it up on Boxing Day, which is the 26th of December for you Americans watching the show, and that person lives in Tampa, and apparently Tampa and California have a sales tax sharing thing where they're not going to have to pay extra sales tax to pick it up in California. It somehow gets deducted from the sales tax where he lives in Florida. So,
oh, wow.
He was going to pick it up on the 26th and drive it home. And actually, we've sent a note to him and wanted to see if there's been any update. But as of broadcast, we haven't heard back.
Okay, so Russell, you live in California. So for all of you viewers out there, for sponsorship fee, if you want to use Russell's address, just IM him, let him know.
Russell, just put it there in your lower third, and just
yeah, just put your home address there, Russell. Go ahead.
Elon's going to say, how come this one guy ordered 72 Teslas?
You had to be a jerk and go to the lower third joke, didn't you? Hey, I will definitely. You can use my address for your Model 3 reservation. Just give me a shout out, and yeah, what the hell? Maybe that's a good job. I could just run back and forth to picking up putting on car carriers. I could do it.
Sounds like a plan.
I think the interesting thing, one thing I wanted to mention about this warranty is this is the first time it says, at least in this article, that they've offered this longer warranty.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
With 70% degradation threshold. Previously, SNX did not have did have limits on mileage. Model 3,
Other way.
Opposite. Yes, did not have. Model 3 does have a limit on mileage, but it also has that 70% retention rate, which is new, and that's kind of interesting.
It is interesting, though. It's probably a pretty safe number for them.
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah, because I calculated out mine, and I even at 90,000 miles over more than 5 years, I think I've only lost 6%, 7%.
Yeah.
So unless it takes a massive nosedive in the last 11,000 miles,
it's funny how many people still, the first thing the general public think about when they think about Teslas are, but the batteries. I couldn't afford to replace the batteries.
Well, yeah, they're used to consumer electronics, right? I mean, the battery in your phone lasts a couple years and that's it. The battery in your computer lasts a couple years and that's about it. And then you have to replace it. So they have that mindset. And then things like the Nissan Leaf didn't help with that because they had serious degradation problems. So before I bought my Tesla, I did a lot of research on what are people seeing out there in the real world. And the numbers were great, which is why I was confident and bought a Tesla without worrying about it. And why when we did the reveal of the new Leaf, that was my first question is, do they now have active thermal management, liquid cooled? And that answer was no, and that was really disappointing.
Yeah, I think isn't the number hovering just under 90% after 8 years? Is that what I've heard previously? About 90%?
Well, nobody's had them that long on the SNX, so we don't know. It's just the oldest were 5 years in October. 5 years. Okay. Yeah, and mine just flipped 5 in December 12th. So,
and you're sitting at 6%, you think?
6 or 7. I haven't done
somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And you're obviously very concerned about it.
Oh yeah, stressing out.
That's really the point. Is that the general public again still hasn't really internalized, but that owners have or people super familiar with is that the batteries aren't the issue. The batteries aren't the breaking point.
Yeah, Alex Roy recently wrote a really good story about how Tesla has great battery management systems, and it's an undervalued part of the company that most people don't think about. But Tesla has a lot of experience with it. It's not easy to do. It's not going to be something that another car company can just jump in and reproduce.
Yeah, as well as Nissan proved with the first generation Leaf.
Yep.
We're not going to say bad things about Nissan because they're fine. So the next story, this
did we lose another sponsor?
Damn. No, Nissan never sponsored this show. Go figure. Chevron senior economist, a gentleman named Adam Carson. That's Carson with a K, just in case you're going to look him up on Facebook.
No hint.
I'm not telling you how to spell it. I'm just saying Carson with a K. Apparently was at a recent conference recently in Houston, Texas, and kind of admitted or sort of implied or whatever that he had a Model 3 reservation, and apparently this led to some other discussion. And in the end, Carson's point was that Tesla is not a danger to Chevron. And again, I think this is something that maybe those of us in that world who pay attention to the news and stuff kind of go, yeah, you know what, Chevron's not really on like a 5-year death spiral because we're seeing more electric cars. And so I guess this was news in the sense that someone from an oil company said, hey, we're not worried about electric cars. Guess what? Hey, Chevron, Shell, none of those, they're not worried about electric cars.
Yeah. Kodak wasn't worried about digital cameras.
Yeah.
Well,
Barnes & Noble wasn't worried about Amazon.
There seems to be some historical references.
Yeah.
I think I've got a
enjoying their status quo
coming in.
so, okay, Patrick, since you spoke up first.
No, Evan spoke up first.
Whatever.
Do you think that Chevron should be concerned about their business plan?
Absolutely. I mean, they're on something that's an obviously declining technology. And if you're not worried about what's next, you're stupid.
Yep. And they're going to replace you.
So I have to disagree with you. I mean, I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's going to take years.
It's going to take decades and decades. And I'm not talking about making gasoline. I'm talking about petroleum. Petroleum is going to be a valuable resource that Chevron's going to be able to sell for a long, long time.
Yeah, but if they don't begin the diversification process now, they will die. They will be unable to catch up and keep up with those that are ahead of them.
So if what this guy is saying is it's okay for my career, then we're good. Then I'll agree with him. But if he's talking about I guess plan on retiring in 10 years, we're fine. Don't worry about it.
I guess Carson in here talks about 2040 and 2050 as being times when he feels very comfortable. But again, we're not going to see gasoline disappear completely, and Chevron's already diversified to the extent that gasoline isn't the only thing they make. They make lots of other things, and there's lots of other things we use oil for. The good news is hopefully we'll stop burning oil in personal transportation vehicles, and Chevron will probably still have a successful business selling oil for other things.
Right. So if you look at a barrel of oil today and the revenue that they get from the gasoline, that covers most of their costs for generating that barrel of oil. And then everything else they do with it is gravy. So now if you take away the gasoline part...
They're making gravy out of petroleum?
Yes, exactly.
Very rich gravy.
Mm-hmm. Heart-clogging gravy. So it cuts into their margins quite a bit if gasoline goes away.
And not it doesn't even have to go completely away, but if the market for gasoline and other petroleum products begins to decline some, the price of those products is also going to go down because there's going to be a surplus supply of petroleum. So it's a multiple factors involved. This is about preparing for a transition before the transition happens. It's not going to suddenly in 2040 oil goes away and everything's electric. It's a transitional process that they are going to have consequences from as that transition occurs. And if they don't prepare, somebody else is going to fill that void.
Wow.
Yep. So I'm happy that they just want to stick their head in the sand and ignore it. And if that means they don't exist long term, awesome. It's fine with me.
Well,
wait.
They do have some real estate holdings.
That's true. They have a lot of real estate holdings.
Oh, what's Patrick got?
There was
Nice.
What does that mean, Patrick? What does that mean?
I don't know. You'll just have to figure it out yourself.
I mean, you know what? I get the idea that like it's a little expensive. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say there was a Chevron gas station in downtown Vancouver that they recently closed and sold the land for $72 million.
Oh, jeez.
So if they could do that to every gas station, they don't need to sell oil.
They don't own most of the actual stations. Those are franchises, right?
Yeah, those are. I would guess those are locally owned. I don't know.
I'm not sure who owned this one, but the land was very valuable.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Again, that's probably true for a lot of filling stations, and you know, who knows what that land could be repurposed as for those business owners.
Mega charger stations,
or like Shell, they could convert some of them to filling stations.
Sure, absolutely, and they could be selling electricity at a profit. What?
And chips and snacks,
which they already do, right? You know, and sodas and everything else. Well, I think Mark has the next story.
Yes. We were talking last week about we were kind of disappointed that the numbers of car sightings hadn't really started in mass. And we were kind of speculating or wondering where the Model 3s were. Was the bottleneck still happening? And then it seemed that this week there was a bit of a break and we started to get more pictures. And a person got their drone up in the air and started to fire off some pictures of the Fremont factory holding lot. And there's a few of them here that just a couple, just to show you that the Model 3s are now appearing in mass on the lots. We've had some people, not me, go through and count the individual Model 3s in these pictures. But to suffice to say, there are hundreds of cars that are now in the holding lots and have been seeing the tractor trailers roll in daily and pick up their 9 or 10 cars per load and been hauling them out. So it appears that certainly there's been an uptick in the number of cars that are being made, and there's certainly jumping ahead of what was happening previously. So we're all excited to hear what's going to happen at the end of the quarter, which is the end of the year, and we should get the quarterly update from Elon and company as to what the Model 3 numbers are and if they're a lot closer to what was expected. And not the bit of disappointment that we had seen in the first quarter of the Model 3.
That's cool.
It will be very, very interesting to see that. Can I take a quick survey?
Yeah.
Let's start with Paul. Who here thinks that we are past the bottleneck? We are out of production hell? Yes or no? Paul?
No.
Evan?
Mostly.
Patrick?
I said once we get past to number 1134, we're out.
I mean,
so
I guess
we're out.
what were the projections at this point in time supposed to be, and where are they actually at?
Oh yeah, so the projections were much higher than where they're at. I mean, we don't know what their final number is going to be for the year. Probably 2,500, 3,000.
The new guidance given last quarter was at the end of quarter one, which is a future quarter from now, that they will be into the 5,000 per week at near the end of quarter one in 2018. So there was no guidance given for the last quarter of the year as to what the numbers would actually be, but what they expected to be in quarter one of 2018.
I mean, originally, I think we were supposed to be already at the 5K a week number.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
But clearly that's not where we're at. But clearly there are cars coming out of the factory. So the question is, are they in good shape? Are they?
And there's sightings all over the country now. So that's,
And it's going to be very interesting when we start seeing some VIN numbers.
And that's another thing. It's kind of bubbled down. We haven't seen a larger VIN number than what was last reported on this program over a week ago. So no further higher numbers have been shown or captured, which is kind of surprising too. Although people have reported it, but there's no photographic evidence of it. So, and that's what we hold out for. We want an actual picture showing the VIN number.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely, because anybody can go, I got VIN number, 36.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is nice to see all of these Model 3s sitting in a lot, getting ready to go to customers. That's a very, very cool thing.
Hopefully they're ready to go to customers and not waiting for extra parts to finish them.
Bad Paul. Bad Paul. I was trying not to be that guy.
They're waiting for trunk carpet from Mexico.
They're waiting for that one bolt that holds the motor into the frame or something.
Yeah, exactly. Don't move the ones in lot number 5. Whatever you do, don't move them. Well, thank you, Mark, for that. Mark, by the way, you're still a picture of a Model 3 parking lot.
So there's a really if you go to that article, there's a really nice quality drone video. It's a really DJI Mavic, I think, is the type of drone, but it's about a 10-minute video, and it's interesting because there's like a strange plastic fence that kind of divides that lot that has all the Model 3s. It kind of a weird diagonal. It's kind of weird trying to figure out why that's there.
Those are the bad Model 3s. The ones that aren't allowed to play with the others.
Yeah.
And then there's footage of the test track that's really nice, probably better than I've seen before. And there's also footage of the new portion of the main factory that we really haven't been able to see before. So it's nice footage.
Yeah, and we're showing some of that now, thanks to Dark Soldier 360 on YouTube.
See that fence? Isn't that weird?
Visit Dark Soldier 360 for the full video. We're not going to show you the whole thing, of course, but yeah, look at all those little Model 3s. Oh, yeah, there is that little fence right there, isn't there?
Yeah, isn't that odd?
No, you know what that is? That's blocking off regular cars from Model 3s.
You think? Oh,
yeah, those are all.
That's like cars. Employee. Oh, I think
employee parking.
That is employee overflow. I wonder where the employees are parking their cars these days.
Anywhere they can.
Oh, poor bastards. I mean, this is some kind of cool footage, and I'm just going to kind of jump through it because there's another take. Obviously, you can fly over the Fremont factory without violating any laws, at least.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
That we were aware of.
Yeah, Tesla has like snipers. Like
now that this video's out, you'll never see another drone footage again over the factory.
Yeah, launch a Falcon 9 to take that drone.
There was one just pulling into the lot into its space.
Yeah, that was cool.
Now, will a robot get out of it, or did it auto park itself? I'm waiting to see a human. Okay, enough of this. But once again, Dark Soldier 360 on YouTube. Go check it out if you're so inclined. I think we have a story on Elon and his deadlines, and somehow Elon missing deadlines is a good thing.
Yeah, so am I taking that one or somebody else?
That's you, Mr. Connor.
Okay, yeah. So you guys have seen him on this show before, and it's Mr. Ed Niedermeyer. He and I were going back and forth about Elon Musk and his management techniques. And Ed was saying that he's horrible. He never makes his deadlines. And I said he's accomplishing great things, so his methods must be working. And so I set out to try to prove that. And I was not the only one. I found another article along the same vein, and there was a great quote in there that said, if Elon promises you the moon in 6 months, but you get it in 3 years, hey, you got the moon. So, and then if you look at the way that corporate America does things today, it's always about making the next quarter's numbers. And that's what Wall Street expects. And if you don't make your numbers, your quarterly numbers, you get punished. And so that has driven most CEOs to think small. What can I achieve in 3 months? What can I commit to and make that's going to make Wall Street happy? And Musk has gone completely the other direction and said, I'm going to do these big things. That's our corporate vision. If you like that, invest. If you don't like it, buy some other stock. There's plenty of others. Don't buy Tesla. I mean, he's literally told that in the financial calls. Said that to financial analysts. So, and it's worked wonderfully for him. So it's completely unlike the way any other car company does business. And so these are his moonshots. And he's, you can go through the list of things. I mean, we just talked about, he had this grand vision for getting 80 or 100,000 cars, Model 3s out by the end of this year, and instead they're going to have 2,500, 3,000. Who knows what the final number will be? It's significantly less than what he'd hoped for, but in setting that big goal, that big, hairy, audacious goal, he has driven the company really hard. And that means every vendor, and they're all getting pushed to do something that otherwise wouldn't be possible. If he had, there's a famous economist, Danny Kahneman, Nobel Prize winner. He was on the Freakonomics podcast, not talking about Musk at all, but he talked about, if you set a big goal, I'm going to end world hunger. You can get some support. Are you going to actually end world hunger? No. You might end 12% of hunger in some particular region. And that's great. There's, those people that are saved. It's wonderful for them. But if you set out and said, in this small region, we're going to help 12% of people, that wouldn't get any interest, and you would achieve nothing. So big goals, audacious goals, and hoping for the moon and taking what you get is Musk's method. And so I wrote a blog post about that. And then that story of mine got picked up by Teslarati. And so Teslarati wrote about it. And then it also was reposted on the Tesla Motors Club. So this story's got some legs. And you could say that I'm just being a Musk apologist, but whatever. His results speak for himself. Bet against him if you feel like losing. Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
No end to this contest, but
so when is the Niedermeyer Connor cage match?
Yeah, we're both local Portland guys, and
see,
we go at each other every now and then.
I will be happy to set that up anytime.
Yeah, he had a tweet storm talking about the long tailpipe problem, and I'm like, oh man, that has been so debunked multiple times, and he's well aware of it, and he brings it up over and over again. Yeah. But he's not here to defend himself, so I don't want to point out how wrong he is again and again. I'll wait until I can do that to his face.
Fox News.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't agree with him all the time, and I've had some fabulously long and detailed Twitter battles with him. But I also think sometimes he's right. Is there anyone here that doesn't that like, I get the whole like, oh, Elon promised you the moon in 3 months and you got it in a year and you're complaining. Okay, but is that a way to run a business? Is that a business thing?
I said, if you don't agree with that philosophy, don't buy his products, don't buy his stock.
That's not what I'm asking. I understand that. I get it. What I'm saying is, as your judge a business, do you think that's a good way to do it?
So how do you judge a business? By buying their products and buying their stock. And there are certainly enough people doing both that they're a viable business. So does it work? Absolutely,
Wall
yes.
Street typically values a business based on meeting their targets.
No, actually, if you look at
Tesla,
anytime you evaluate a stock, you're looking at their future value, not their current value. The market is at least 6 to 9 months forward looking.
Right, but it is, like if a company misses their goals, their stock tanks the next day, and if they beat their goals, the stock usually goes up, and that's short term. Typically how Wall Street looks at things.
But there are
Tesla,
some exceptions.
There's external factors, hype and marketing.
And you look at what happened with Amazon. That's another group that didn't make the quarters they expected to make, but they had this huge picture in front of them as to how they were going to dominate the world at some point, and Wall Street overlooked those shortcomings. And now, of course, Amazon is starting to dominate the world in retail.
Yeah, there's textbook ways to start a business and manage it and run it, and then there's the people that have great success and they shift the paradigm, as the phrase goes, and they take things in a different way. And like, there's people that are going to be uncomfortable with that, as Patrick was pointing out, and that's not your company if you can't hang with that. You got to be careful, because there's a Faraday futures that kind of look like that too, right? I mean, so you got to figure out a way to pick which one which horse you're going to back in that race, and it's going to be a gamble.
Yep.
Right, because by the same criteria, Faraday future is a huge success. and I'm that's facetious, of course, but I get what you're saying, Patrick. That and I agree that the market is looking at Tesla as the future.
Yes,
But that's it's one thing to be in the business of selling the future and for your stock to be super good and for people to be supportive of you. But as soon as that dream evaporates, when your business isn't based on we sell 100 billion widgets a year and that's how we make our money, and every year we're going to sell these 100 billion widgets, it's a much more tenuous way to evaluate your business. My example would be, so Toyota announces last week that they're going to start making solid-state batteries, and they're going to open up a partnership with Panasonic. And all of a sudden, you've got a company like Toyota that's a huge-ass manufacturing monster. And the future looks a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. So I totally agree. There's going to be competition, and that's great. In fact, every time a company announces that they're doing something in electric vehicles, it only makes Tesla more valuable because it validates their strategy. And it also says who else has the infrastructure out there, who else has a gigafactory to make those batteries, who else has charging infrastructure. So yes, there's going to be competition, and I welcome it. Great. And I own Tesla and Toyota stock, so awesome.
Patrick is diversified. No, and I agree competition is good. But again, I'm just sort of talking about looking at Tesla and are they doing the right things? That's sort of the point of this.
You may also look at it, Russell, that over time as Tesla matures as a company, as they mature in their products, as more and more hit the market, they may back off on that type of future talk because at this point, at that point, they're financially viable. They've been growing in a market. They've been adding more and more mix to it and are getting bigger and bigger. But at this point, that's how Elon talks. That's how Elon takes action. And as Evan said, it's a little bit of a different spin on it that the market has agreed with him to this point.
Yeah, certainly not everybody. There's certainly analysts that say it's going to zero. I don't understand this company. It's ridiculous. And okay, those guys can short it all they want.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not on the shorting side either. Although, you would I think it's bad gambling, in my opinion. But I worry because I want Tesla to be successful in the long run. Let's rather than beat that dead horse.
Well, let's move on to. Why don't we move on to one of their successful failures?
Go on to Mark has a story about Tesla Nav.
That's Evan. That's Evan's going to do the Nav.
Evan,
hey, I'm gonna usurp you. I'm gonna go to an example of the story that we just talked about, if that's all right.
Yeah.
The Tesla had a record year of supercharger expansion, but fell short of its goal. So they targeted when they announced that they were going to have 10,000 supercharger stalls at the end of the year, and they failed. They only have 8,250. And this is sort of that example, that he sets an audacious goal and they fail, but they have 8,250 superchargers in 1,100 locations around the world. It's a tremendous number, and if you scroll down through this,
which is how many more than every other car company?
So this is, I guess I should have announced, it's the electric story by Fred Lampert. Just it looks like from yesterday, and look, this is kind of that example. Now all of us are out there. Damn it! I wish they'd gotten that 10,000 in, and one of those was in my neighborhood. So there's always going to be somebody that's a little disappointed that they didn't quite achieve it. But they achieved a lot, and they continue to make tremendous gains in covering the nation. You look at that map of the U.S., and there are only a handful of holes left on there that don't have a red dot. North Dakota.
Yeah.
And the 3 people in North Dakota went.
That is a great example. Tesla didn't have to put out a number. They just could have said, "We're going to grow it, and it's going to be a lot better," and that would have been true. They went from whatever the number was, 5,000 to 8,000, and there would be no way to spin that negatively. But the fact that they put out this number now, you could see press out this week saying Tesla failed to meet 10,000 and how horrible their infrastructure is, and it's all because doing things in an unconventional manner, and this is one of the benefits and drawbacks.
And you also notice that in the article, they're not backing away from it, because next year's goal, 2018, is now 18,000. So they're just jumping ahead. They're not stopping. They're not pausing. They're saying, yeah, we got to 8,250 this year. You know what? By the end of 2018, there's going to be another 10,000 on top of that.
Yeah, and that's just the number of sites. So when they were installing these supercharger locations before, they had 4 or 6 spots. Now most of them have 10, 12, 14 spots or even more. So if you actually count the number of places you could charge, that probably has more than doubled.
Yeah.
And that must just take heaps of people to coordinate, because you've got to lease the space, you've got to get the electric brought in, you've got to get the local permits. I mean, you can't just roll in and do it in a weekend. I mean, it takes months of planning. So they've got to be planning now.
They have
worldwide, every different electrical code, every different bylaws. I mean, it's a
they've got entire teams that just go out and talk to these businesses to try to get them on board and allow them to use part of their parking lots, and they get a lot of no's, from people that don't get it or don't understand it or don't want to give up their spaces and things like that. And then even once they've got it, you're right, that whole permitting process is complicated. Getting all the right,
and getting the high voltage utility feed in if it's not nearby.
Right. The coordinating with the electric company, the coordinating with the electricians, the coordinating with the construction people and equipment. It's a massive process to get those installed.
Yeah, what business is out there going, no, I don't want people that buy new cars to come to my place and do business. They're just not thinking it through.
Yeah.
Lots of them, lots of stupid. So, Patrick, I've got a question for you, though.
All right.
How do you feel about the missed goal of the solar-powered superchargers?
Oh, yeah. So I wish they were all solar-powered. That would be great. And this was exactly one of the things Ed tweeted about. And I said, okay, tell me which car manufacturer has installed more solar than Tesla.
That's not, but I understand that Tesla's leader. But what I'm saying is, are they ever accountable if they fall short?
As long as they still have the right goals and they're still making progress on them, then no.
Okay, because I don't know how many solar-powered superchargers there are, but I'm going to guess there are very, very few. And the point for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm happy that they didn't make it. I'm still I'm saying that it's still the right thing in the right direction, and that's a good thing. So I have solar panels on my house, and it's enough for me to drive, I don't know, 60,000 miles a year, which I obviously don't. So it's if you look at their whole solar installation, then it's still a great thing.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Anything else on those superchargers? No. So I was going to a story about the update in Tesla Nav, and I thought that was Evan's, but
yeah, that is.
That's yours.
That's mine too.
Do you want to run with that, my friend? 2
in a row, sure.
Yes.
So another story from Electric by Fred Lambert came out December 21st about Tesla is planning a major navigation update, quote, light years ahead of current system, says Musk, which is good because the current system is terrible. But this is good news.
All factory installed navigation systems suck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but this one shouldn't be as bad as it is, but it is terrible. I've got screenshots. I should have, if I'd known we were doing this story, I'd have brought them just to show some of the crazy things it does. But you can get online if you want to find them and see some of the routing that the current system will do. Which, big picture overview, it usually does pretty well. If you want to go from New York to LA, it's going to get you there in a pretty good route. It just seems to get confused at the lower level detail, and it will try to reroute you the most bizarre routes that make absolutely no sense at all, and you simply have to ignore or do what I do. And I use a backup navigation tool just because it's one that I trust to get me where I'm going. But I use the Tesla one because it routes you properly through superchargers and those kinds of things. It gives you a better idea how much range you have left and whether you're going to make it your destination, those kinds of things. But this is really good news. So that they're we've all wondered, because Elon hasn't really tweeted about it previously, about the navigation issues that a lot of people have complained about. So it looks like sometime this year, early in 2018, we will hopefully see a significant update to the navigation system that hopefully will incorporate some other technology, including the routing, and who knows, maybe it'll actually give you better estimates of whether you'll make it to your destinations and things like that.
And herein is where Tesla has this huge advantage over the other companies, although that is changing a little bit and very slowly. Tesla does over-the-air updates to their vehicles, and Tesla could feasibly do an over-the-air update and update all of their vehicle navs over a period of time, which would require most of the car companies to have owners drive cars into dealerships or to send out jump drives or something silly,
or to pay $300 for a new DD disc to put into the dash.
Right.
DD disc and
drivers. Right. And Tesla has sent out navigation, at least map updates over the years on occasion, though they don't seem to be very frequent, honestly, and the changes aren't really visible. And then there's updates to the tools that are on the navigation as far as your ability to view what chargers are available, how they're available, and some things like that. But you can't really route through additional waypoints on the current system unless it happens to be a supercharger. So there are definitely significant limitations to the user interface and the flexibility of the current nav. So it's definitely due for something that brings it up to at least, Waze level quality navigation.
Or at least close. Waze is wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Waze fan.
Well, I have to give a plug to Tesla's. When I drove to San Diego, it worked great. But that's a relatively easy drive down I-5. But it let me know where I needed to stop and how much charge I could expect there and how long I'd have to wait. And a few times I waited 5 or 10 minutes longer than that. But it was right on for the most part.
Yeah, and to that end, those pieces, the charging related pieces of the current nav are actually pretty good, I think, because they do tell you that when even if you're going through 5 superchargers, it tells you how long you'll need to be at each supercharger before you can move on to the next one. And it tries to optimize your charging times at each of those just to make the duration of your trip the shortest it can be. And so those pieces are actually quite good. It's just the actual navigating that seems to have issues.
Sucks.
Yeah. I sat in a Chevy Bolt when it was at National Drive Electric Week, and they had a sales guy there, and I said, hey, I just drove down to San Diego. How could I do that in this car? And he said, oh, okay, yeah, so it's got OnStar and it's got navigation. And then he tried to show me how it worked, and he got stuck and he couldn't get it to work. And then he tried to use their digital assistant to help him do it. And he said, well, I don't know. I'll figure it out and check back with me later.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah. So even having a car that has long range, you have to have that in place to allow people to take treks in their car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think nav is one of those things that car companies have taken for granted. It used to be just an upsell service, and now as more and more of us are using it for everything, it's the power windows, right? You don't want to not have it.
Yep. And if you're using Waze and you're in a Bolt, you don't have the, just as far as I know, you can't say, hey, where are all the CCS chargers and plan a route for me? I just don't think that the third-party navs have that kind of stuff. So you really have to have it in your car if that's what you're depending on to get from A to B and you want to charge in between. PlugShare has a feature for doing routing, so maybe that's a good alternative.
PlugShare might be great. Yeah, I can tell you that some of the charging companies are really, really awful at it. I mean, terrible at it. I just finished a couple of weeks ago with the Hyundai Ioniq EV, and their software is. I literally almost ran out because they was routing me to chargers, but they were old Blink chargers that were non-functional.
Oh man!
So on the 5th charger, I got to one where I could charge. I was down to 6 miles. Whatever. No big deal.
Did you say the 5th one? You had to go to 5 to
I went to 4 charging stations that were dead. Excuse me.
That's horrible.
They were dead. One that had one.
And you think the manufacturers would just licensed PlugShares database, which is crowdsourced, kept relatively up to date.
It's better if we own it. What are you going to do? That sort of proprietary thing is just awful.
So yeah, Russell, this gets back to do I think there's going to be competition and am I worried? Okay, we just I hope they fix all these problems, but they're years behind still.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand. Believe me, I'm not a hater. Don't make the argument that simple. Hey, speaking of not a hater, back to Electrek. Tesla opened orders for the Tesla semi-truck this week in Europe, and Norway's ASKO, and I don't know what ASKO stands for. I don't know that it's in this article, and it doesn't matter. They're a food distribution company. They ordered 10, and that's great. That's huge. It's good to see that the orders have come in for this Tesla Semi. I think I made the point last week. The thing that amazes me is that these are corporations putting out a good amount of money for something they're not going to get for a while. They clearly think there's some value in being early with this technology. And that's good for them, and it's very good for Tesla.
Well, Norway is perfect. You know, their dedication to electric vehicles is probably unparalleled in the world, and it's a perfect setting for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big incentive on commercial vehicles.
Oh yeah, Canada does.
For consumer cars,
like Ontario.
Yeah,
$75,000 up to a maximum. Wow. $75,000 on a commercial truck.
Wow,
that's awesome.
Wow, I had no idea. 75,000?
Up to 75,000 per truck.
That's crazy.
So are all the Tim Hortons trucks going to be electric?
That's
now?
Right. Electric Timbits.
Electric Timbits, exactly. That's like oh, wow.
I'm going to open a business in Ontario just buying trucks and reselling them to other parts
of the world. There you go.
Hey, those are my taxes, Patrick. I'm not going to let you do that.
If you're doing it. Time of the border. Our next story, I think, Mark. Mark, did you want to talk about the Roadster?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Roadster possibly being a payload for the Falcon Heavy going up in January of this year. A date hasn't been set yet, but it's expected in January. So Elon had tweeted out that he was going to put his cherry red Roadster in as payload, and he said, be sure to watch the launch. It'll be exciting either way. Because he's indicated that there may be a 50-50 chance the rocket will explode during part of the launch. So everyone was speculating, is he really serious that he's going to put in his Roadster inside as a payload? Well, we got some pictures, and SpaceX is mounting his Roadster as we speak. So they're actually putting it on top of a bracket that's going to hold it inside the payload area. If the rocket is successful getting into orbit, the car will be launched from the payload area and sent to, guess where? Mars. The car will be sent to Mars on a slow trajectory that will take it millions of years to get there, but it'll be on its way. And he's also indicated that he's going to have the stereo system looped to play Space Odyssey over and over and over until the battery is completely dead.
Yeah, Space Oddity.
Space Oddity, my mistake, yes. So,
but don't they have to send a spaceship first to get the supercharger installed on Mars? So when the car gets there?
so never doubt the craziness of Elon. This little PR stunt, when it happens, is going to be incredible. It's going to be all over the news. Everyone's going to pick it up, and the name Tesla will be splashed on every newscast throughout the world.
Yeah, so they say Tesla doesn't spend money on advertising, and when you do these kinds of awesome maneuvers, you don't have to. The press just rolls out for you.
Yep. Exactly. So hats off to Elon again, another brilliant PR move, and I'm looking forward to the January launch.
There's some pretty interesting information out there for anybody that wants to look about the technical aspect of sending that Roadster up, because like the tires had to be replaced with fake tires. A lot of the items in there are expected to essentially disintegrate the moment it like gets up into space. So it's pretty interesting the modifications that had to come to get this thing even to.
Because of course they had to change the tires because of traction, right, Evan?
Well, they want to put extra low rolling resistance tires on there.
There you go.
If you're going to travel 1 billion miles, you need some solid tires.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Well,
It's worse than a bag of Doritos going over a mountain pass. They would have been pretty bad in that.
Nice. Well, Mark, I'm going to pick on you twice because I can't wait to talk about this one. The Model 3 resale.
The listing. Paul was going to take a stab at that.
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah. So right now, for those of you watching eBay, there's 2 Model 3s on eBay. One actually ends 1 hour from now. So
Ooh.
you can bid on it. Current bid is $75,000. The reserve, I think the seller's probably greedy and asking for over 100. But their claim is, first of all, it's a premium long range model, and it's a car, and you can drive it away tonight if you win the auction. You don't have to wait 400,000 people ahead of you. Who's going to bid on this? Someone who's got a lot of money and doesn't care, or possibly a competitor, maybe Audi, or want to get a car. Well, they probably already have one. But if they wanted to make a bid and try and get a Tesla resale. And then there's another one, if you search eBay 2017 Tesla Model 3, the auction ends in like 5 days. And it's bidding, what's weird, the one that ends in 5 days is already up to 79,100. Hours only 75. In an hour, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Extended show. Let's do it.
We're going 3, 2, 1. No, I hope you don't sell. I feel like I've been the no fun guy on the show.
We all need one. Go ahead.
No, I hate these people. I hate these. I loathe these parasites who buy like Nintendo game systems up and then sell them for like $700 when they were $59, or people who buy a $60,000 car and decide to sell it for $120,000 on eBay because they got it first. Yay, capitalism. That's all.
Yeah, it is annoying. I was trying to buy a Nintendo Switch this summer and I didn't get it until like a month ago. I mean, it's a first world problem, but yeah.
I don't, you know what? I don't know that first world problems aren't still problems. I'm not saying, oh my God, first I have to like hunt for food or I have to walk 5 miles for clean water. That's obviously not my point. My point is that it's still like, why are we wrestling with this? You know, why is this a thing?
But if you're some super rich person and you want to have it now and the payer premium, you can drive it home tonight.
It's just hard to imagine, though, even if you're a super rich person, how you go, oh, yeah, I'd rather spend the same amount of money on a Model 3 than on a Model S.
Well, that's the other
right.
Right? I can get a Model S today that's bigger and faster and has more technology and is more comfortable and everything else for the same price you'd be paying for this Model 3.
So
yeah, but right now for the next 3 months, the Model 3 is what's coveted and what's rare and going to get you more attention. And if that's all you're looking for is the
drive a Model 3.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then you sell it in 4 months when it's lost its cachet because these are round off errors in your bank account if you have that much money.
Can we talk about who's really bidding on this? We know.
Well, it's only got one bid so far, so.
And that's from General Motors.
That may be true.
They're gonna take delivery of that thing tonight. That son of a bitch is going to be in pieces in an airplane hangar. Okay, in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Now
it's definitely common knowledge that all the manufacturers buy each other's cars. So whether they buy them on eBay or through brokers or through friends of friends of friends, but you can be rest assured that Audi, Mercedes, Ford, GM all have a Model 3 and they've torn it apart. And if they don't have it yet, it will be very soon. I'll do that to see what the other guys do and see if they can improve upon it or steal ideas or whatever.
Sure. Reverse engineer the whole thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
to whatever extent they want to. Obviously, they want to know what Tesla knows so they can incorporate it into their vehicle, or just go, no, we're already ahead of them. Cool. Yep. Let's talk about Santa mode. Who is going to do that?
Patrick.
I can cover that one.
Thank you.
So I just got the 27.50.2 version of the firmware for my Model X, and it has chill mode in it, which is cool. Yeah, you can have nice smooth acceleration. And speaking of chilling, it also has a Santa mode. So there's a couple Easter eggs in there. You can get it to display a sleigh instead of your car on the binnacle display, and then it's snowing on the binnacle, which is really kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And when you turn it on, it'll play either Run Run Reindeer by Chuck Berry, or if you want the not funny version of, oh yeah, see, there's the little reindeer. You hit that to go into the ho 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 mode.
Dun dun dun. And Santa mode.
Yeah, ho ho ho. And so it'll play that, or Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer if you do the ho 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 not funny version of the Easter egg.
Run over by a Tesla.
There's liability in that version.
Of the problem with that, yes.
Legal, couldn't get that one through legal.
Yeah,
not even Tesla could. Yeah, so other cars show up as reindeer on the road, so you don't want to hit the reindeer. And the turn signals are sleigh bells in the car,
which gets annoying very quickly.
Yeah. So I heard someone on the forum saying, I don't know how to turn it off. So little trick if you want to turn it off. Just do the cowbell Easter egg, and that'll put it back into normal mode after that one finishes.
One Easter egg can turn off the other Easter egg.
Yep.
We're not going down a rabbit hole here, kids. Not everything's fine.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of over-the-air Easter eggs, over-the-air updates. You can do this stuff.
Absolutely. It's the fun of a company with a sense of humor. And cheers to Tesla for having a sense of humor and doing this silly stuff, that obviously their owners, at least some of them, enjoy. Right?
Right.
And Evan, you've already turned on the jingle bells and turned them off?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I love that.
Yeah, it would actually kind of be a nice additional feature. If, sometimes you forget to turn signal, especially as I get older. If it made a little more noise through the speakers or something, but maybe not
increasingly more noise.
There you go. Yeah, it's on for 30 seconds, and then after a while, it just goes to 11.
Yes.
Hey, old man, you left it on. You turned 3 minutes ago. Come on. This does that out loud.
How long is this turn taking, Fusco? I'm saying Elon tonight. Thank you. You called it the Russell maneuver. Wow. It's cool. It's cool. You know what? That's fun.
Hey, you don't have to be grumpy about one. Awesome.
Oh. So the next story is Elon confirms that the Tesla pickup truck will follow the Model Y, and I'm a little behind the curve here, and I'm going to show this because I've already seen way too much discussion about this picture. Am I wrong in thinking this is completely not a Tesla photograph, a Tesla rendering of the truck? Is that correct?
That is from Tesla. That was in the semi-reveal event.
They actually put that up on the big screen.
Yes, they did.
That is insane.
Yeah. No, is that really going to be what they deliver?
There's a speculation that it's an inside joke. That's not what the truck is going to look like. But
I hope to.
Who knows?
You can't put an F-150 in the back.
Yeah. Well, that's to show the size, right? That fits a regular F-150.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's lots of problems with this, which is why I said, please tell me it's not a Tesla rendering, because I didn't realize. I don't remember this from the semi-reveal. Wow, that's a problematic design.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but like you said, they're a company with a sense of humor, and you never know. When Elon said he was going to start the Boring Company, I thought it was a joke, and he really did it. And then when he said he was going to launch a Roadster into space, I thought it was a joke, and now it looks like they're really doing it. So this could be a variant of the Semi that they do offer for sale, and they might have an actual normal pickup as well. I don't know. We'll have to. This is why it's fun to follow this company. They do cool stuff.
You never know what's going to happen.
What's your speculation on the flamethrower, Patrick?
Yeah, so now they've sold all the Boring Company hats. Next is flamethrowers. What is that about? I have no clue. They obviously you can't sell flamethrowers, but I don't know.
And then there's the roller coaster at Fremont. Like that's for the employees to ride in. Yeah. So there's all sorts of stuff that we really don't know what the actual story is.
Yeah, I think of that old Dan Aykroyd skit. Yeah, now selling Johnny Switchblade here. Yeah. Bag of glass, kids. Bag of glass.
Bag of glass.
There you go.
That would have been a better reference.
Well, as our penultimate story this evening, Patrick, do you want to talk about solar panels and Tesla trucks?
Sure, I'll just go quick. So this was another one. I saw some report that said it would take the power of 4,000 homes to power a Tesla truck. And so I was like, that cannot be true. And they were massaging the math to make this claim. And so if you just look at the instantaneous power requirements, that might be accurate if you had all these homes that weren't drawing a whole lot of power. So you can say that. But what really matters to the grid is how much energy it's drawing. And Tesla had the numbers out there. They said their semi-truck fully loaded uses less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile. And so I looked at, okay, the solar panels on my house make 12,000 kilowatt hours per year. So that is enough to drive a truck like 20,000 miles. And so I started looking at where I work. They have a big carport out there that covers 40 cars, and they've got 3 of those. And that could drive a Tesla Semi for 300,000 miles annually. So these crazy claims that it takes 4,000 homes worth of power is ridiculous. And if you actually do the math, which is what I did in this blog post on my carswithcords.net, and just search for how many solar panels to power a Tesla Semi, and I've got all the math there, and I give you the sites to the calculators where you can figure out. If you're in Portland, it's not as good as if you're in sunny San Diego like Russell, but in both cases it works without a crazy amount of power. And then Tesla's going to have these mega charger stations, which hopefully will have solar panels. We talked about how that is absolutely their goal. They'll probably have on-site storage as well, which allows them to decide whether they want to draw from the solar panels, from their batteries, or from the grid, and that'll allow them to control the demand charges. So it's real easy to paint this in a horrible picture, but other than that, they're not. They have these technologies. They're going to use them, and it gets also into how can they afford to sell energy for 7 cents a kilowatt hour? Well, if you're not racking up a bunch of demand charges because you have local generation and on-site storage, then you can manage your costs and you can sell power profitably for 7 cents a kilowatt hour. When there's a wholesale market that sells it for 2, 3, or 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and you're reselling it for 7, you can do that. Especially when you have, like we talked about earlier, the market is willing to fund their infrastructure growth because this gets them into a whole new market.
There you go. Well, thank you for doing the math, because that's important. Seriously. I mean, it's one thing to toss some crap off, it'd take 5 billion homes, 2,000 years to, you know what I mean? But then to actually sit down and do some numbers and go, this isn't really that insane.
Yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate that. Not being a math guy myself, I appreciate that. Thank you, Patrick.
My day job, I'm an engineer, so I gotta do the math. Opinions are cheap and easy. Everybody has one, and they all stink. But let's get some data.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of everyone has one, Mark has the final story of the evening.
Final story is just a touch on Elon. Yesterday, tweeted out, of course, his favorite mode of talking to the people. He wanted to thank everyone for again trusting Tesla, for taking a chance on a new company that all experts said would fail. He said that he truly thanks everyone for trusting in the company. He hopes that everybody loves their cars and loves to drive them. And then at the end of his tweet, he asked, how can we improve further? Man, I don't think I've ever heard a CEO get on to a social media forum and ask all his customers out there, how can I improve this company better? And of course, that opened up a tweet storm, and a literal ton of tweets flowed through the internet, tweeting back to Elon with all sorts of ideas, all sorts of gripes, all sorts of suggestions. It was all over the board. And Elon, of course, responded to some of interest. Someone certainly popped up and said about Autopilot 2, please. And of course, Elon said, yes, it's late. We are trying our best. He sees the results that will be released after testing. They're going to blow everyone away, and he hopes that everyone will have this experience when it is released. He says it is coming. Again, no date, but they say they are working on it. Others prompted him to say about things like, I'd like my Bluetooth not to auto connect to my phone, because every time my wife walks by the garage, it steals the call away from her into the car. So yes, there are things like that that have been overlooked, and Elon replies with a simple done. So obviously that is an update that will be coming soon as well. Heated windows via the app, the ability to have, of course, the rain sensor with the AP2, the ability to quiet the music when all the doors are opening. One person asked for a disco mode, so that the ambient light would beat to the music. And Elon replied back to that when he says, well, I was going to say all things were good, except for the last one. He said, but you know what? That sounds like cheesy fun. So who knows? That may be coming to a Tesla near you. So click to the link if you want to read on all of them. It's quite an interesting read as to all the different facts and figures that people have prompted Elon with suggestions, and it's all great reading. Also, if you want,
it's a cheap way to have a focus group.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And if you want to follow along with us through the week and read up on this stuff and see things that are happening, please connect to our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, or our Facebook page, The Tesla Life #1, or finally connect to us on our YouTube channel, The Tesla Life Show, and subscribe so you will get alerts when this show goes to air automatically.
Absolutely. We go to air? People watch this? I thought we were just having some fun, like bullshitting with each other. I mean, seriously, like right now there are people watching us.
Apparently so.
At least 3.
Jesus, I had no idea.
We don't have Tony here to be in the chat room for us.
Wow. Well, thank you, Mark. Let's do some shout-outs and go home, gentlemen. I think we've worked a little bit of overtime this week, but that's okay. It's an in-between holidays kind of thing. So, Paul, can I start with you?
Sure. I've got 2 shout-outs this week. One is my shop in Boulder, Colorado, where we actually work on Teslas. We don't do a whole lot. So far, we've done tires, we've done trailer hitches, light bulb upgrades, but most of the Teslas around here are still under factory warranty, so they go to the official service center, but everybody needs tires. And we also service hybrid cars. So if you also have a hybrid, or only have a hybrid, come and see us if you're in the Boulder or Denver area. Second shout out is to a firm I met with this weekend called Atomic Auto. They are a hybrid and EV repair shop east side of Portland near, Patrick, what's the freeway on the east side? 205?
205, yep.
205 and 102nd and somewhere around there. Anyway, if you're in the Portland area and have an EV or hybrid, great guys. They really know their stuff. AtomicAuto.com.
Hey, well, thank you, Paul. Evan.
Hey, so if you read my thing there, I sold one of my Model 3 or got my refund back on one of my Model 3 reservations, and I'm pretty sure it's already spent. Merry Christmas. But still hanging on to that.
Flip it and sell it on eBay?
Not gonna happen. Hold on to that second one for now. We'll see what happens, and I'm happy with the California people getting theirs first as far as my personal side of things. I actually am going to give a shout out to somebody I don't know. If you are on Facebook, there's a page called Tesla Model 3 Road Trip, or at TSLA3. And this is a dude that got his Model 3 early on and is driving it across the country and kind of blogging about it as he goes. And there's actually he seems a pretty straightforward guy. He's doesn't come across as too much of a fanboy, though there's obviously got to be some of that in there. He's talked about several of the issues he's had, noisy windshield wipers and weird sounds that his stereo makes when he hangs up the phone and when a song ends and things like that. But he has all of his planned supercharger stops listed as events and as meet and greets. And if he's going through your neighborhood or somewhere near you, you can go there and meet them. And a lot of these are pretty big, 50 or 60 people showing up or at least signed up to show up at these meet and greet events to participate. And I'm hoping to go up to Columbia, Missouri and see him when he goes through on I-70 up there. So something to check out, something to follow if you're interested in Model 3 and the kinds of issues it has and the kind of performance you can still get out of it.
Yeah, the guy's name is Yo-Yo Zoo, and I had chatted with him a few times, and he seems really cool. And he's going up into Canada too. So Mark, you might be able to check him out there.
He'll be in Toronto on January the 3rd.
Yep, and he's driving. It looks like he started somewhere near Florida, and he's going to end up in California. So he's going all over the place. So yeah, go check him out.
You can actually even follow him live on that page that Evan gave. There's a link to an applet that will follow him live. What speed
so
he's going, what road he's on.
At the superchargers.
Yeah, he's even given some people test drives.
Yep, even some test drives.
Cool.
Wow,
good for him.
Very.
Yeah,
it's like
That's great because people can go and talk to a real person, a real owner about their experiences.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Patrick?
Let's see. What shout-outs do I want to give out? I will give out my code there. You can see that it's Patrick7819 if you want to buy a Tesla.
Or if you like me better, let me know.
Evan's code. No.
Competitive code dropping. Nice.
Yeah. And I'll plug my blog. It's carswithcords.net. And so I write about I just started a series that's posting one a week about my 10 years of EV ownership. So I started with a Chevy pickup truck, and then I moved to the Nissan Leaf, and now the Tesla Model X. And we had a Prius in there before all that, and how it started looking at this alternative transportation stuff, and how it was a slow journey to now we have just two EVs, the Tesla and the Leaf, and soon it's going to be the Model X and a Model 3. We're going to trade the Leaf in for the Model 3 when we get it, probably in July or August is when the estimate comes out for the dual motor. I'm waiting for the all-wheel drive version.
Ah.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yep.
And Mr. Coughlin.
Yes, just wanted to thank everyone for listening or watching us. Thanks for coming and seeing what we have to talk about this week. And I'm going to leave everyone with a quick photograph from Vaughan Mills, north of Toronto. We've got this nice scene on December the 25th where it's absolutely freezing. And there's someone out charging at the supercharger, one of the new ones at Vaughan Mills, which is just in Vaughan, just north of Toronto. So even in the cold weather, they work. So come charge whenever you need it. They're available and working.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very nice. Well, I want to thank Lee Moon for our theme music. He composed and performed it and lets us play it for free, since that is our budget for theme music. Thank you, Lee. I want to thank everybody, and I do mean everybody. This is like crazy to have a big crowd here. So thank you, Paul, Evan, Patrick, and Mark for showing up on. I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this, in between two holidays, because I have a rude way, but I'm going to leave that out.
The day after Boxing Day?
Yeah, the day after Boxing Day. Thank you.
The interstitial show. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, the interstitial show. Thank you, Patrick. Leave it to the engineer to come up with something nice like that. That was very done. And of course, thanks to all of you for watching and or listening. We appreciate it. Tune in next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life. And that's it.